Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to Season 2 of the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Kayla Smith, CEO of the Hormone Puzzle Society, a women's health hub for fertility, hormones, and the business of coaching, creator of the Hormone Puzzle Method, an infertility warrior, two-time boy mom, and women's health expert. This podcast is for women struggling with infertility, painful periods, terrible PMS, or really just any symptom of hormone imbalance that they are ready to eliminate for good. Tune in weekly as we interview amazing experts in the fields of women's health, breaking down those hormone walls, nerding out on nutrition, and having way too much fun. Whether you're beginning your journey or you've been struggling for years, we're going to finally help you put those pieces of your hormone puzzle back together so that you can get pregnant and eliminate those pesky symptoms for good. Are you ready? This season is packed with even more expert guests sharing groundbreaking knowledge, giving you that jolt of energy that you so desperately need, sending you lots of virtual hugs, and inspiring you to take your fertility into your own hands and make that baby. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now let's get started on your road to transformation. On today's show, I have Loren De La Cruz. She is a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, root cause protocol consultant, and functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner that specializes in preconception nutrition. Her mission is to empower women with the tools and the knowledge they need to regulate their cycles, balance their hormones, heal their metabolism, optimize their fertility, and have a thriving pregnancy. Her approach is rooted in the deep understanding and respect for the physiological of the body, combining the wisdom of traditional nutrition with a bioenergetic, pro-metabolic, and bioindividual approach. Through her eCourse Conscious Conception and coaching, she is helping hundreds of women transform through the magic of maidenhood to motherhood. In today's show, we're talking about preconception care as well as minerals. We hear a lot about nutrition for fertility, but really not about certain nutrients and minerals that we need. So let's talk more about this, and let's welcome Loren to our show. Hey, Loren, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Kayla. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited for our conversation. So let's dive into things. Tell us a little bit more about you and how you started working in women's health and around fertility.
Yeah, it's quite the story, or it could be very similar to other women's stories too. So my foray into nutrition and working with women on fertility and hormones and pregnancy and all that fun stuff started with my experience with the birth control pill, so the hormonal contraceptive, and really it might even started after that. Before that, when I was on a vegan diet. So when I came off the vegan diet, I had this explosion of adult acne, and basically, back then there wasn't as much information available online, at your fingertips. So I had to kind of do some digging, and a lot of the research was just asking my roommates, what should I do for acne? Talking to doctors, what should I do for acne? And the conclusion that was really the same across all of it was take the birth control pill. So I did that. I was on it for 8 years, and my health really started to deteriorate while I was on the pill. So I developed candida. I developed subclinical hypothyroidism, melasma, pre-diabetes, a new autoimmune disease. And so, yeah, it was really, hindsight's 2020. At the time, I didn't really connect the dots, but it really did have a lot to do with the hormonal contraceptive, and my body was just not a good match for it. So my acne started to come back at the tail end of my use of the hormonal contraceptive pill, and I was like, why am I even on this? Let me get off of it. And so I started to experience post-birth control syndrome, which is a term coined by Dr. Jolene Brighton. And when I found her work, I was just like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. I feel heard, I feel seen, because my hair was falling out. My acne came back 10 times worse. I was, again, pre-diabetic. All my hormones were really off. I was cold all the time. Definitely my hypothyroidism was really kicking in, and it was just a hot mess. So I basically went to all my doctors, and they had no other solution for me other than to get back on the pill or to take a different one. And so I was like, okay, at this point, thank you, see you later. I'm going to try my own thing. And really, that's when I, had a lot of success healing myself. I actually healed my lifelong asthma in the process, which was kind of a bonus. It wasn't my intention.
Right. So I love it.
Yeah. When I found, that nutrition and lifestyle changes could play such a huge role in our health, I was hooked, and I knew I needed to help more women. And my foray into the fertility and pregnancy space too was just I guess a side effect of all my clients started to get pregnant, and I myself am on my own preconception journey. I have been for the past couple of years, and just building myself up to then TTC. And so really, it just made a lot of sense.
Amazing. I know I always joke not joke, but like ironically joke that if you were read the back of the birth control label and the pamphlet that comes in there, you would never take that. Like none of us would. And I was guilty as well. Like I was on the pill for 15 years. I had no clue that it was doing so many horrible things to my body. And when I put the dots together like you did, I was like, whoa, this is why. So thank you for sharing that. It's such a common story, I think, for a lot of us women.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about preconception care. And I know you said you're still on your journey and you're focusing on your own health with preconception care. So just tell us, what is that? What is preconception care?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I like to preface, like, I myself have taken a longer route just intentionally, just because of my history with the pill and my own personal journey with stress and exercise. So I knew that I wanted to take a bit longer. So don't get, if you're hearing like she's taking years to prepare, is that necessary?
Right.
Don't necessarily think that's the right route for everyone. But I would say preconception care is really a holistic approach. At least my definition is a holistic approach to supporting fertility with the intention of, reducing pregnancy complications and risks, increasing resilience postpartum, ultimately also creating a healthy baby and future generations of healthy babies. And it's about baby, but also about the health of the mother, because really you need both to have both. And it's a lot of the preconception care out there just puts babies first, which is so important too. But we often forget about ourselves in the process. And at the end of our delivery, we do have this baby that we need to be able to run around and take care of as well. And so the goal is to really create thriving health so that you can do everything.
For sure. And I always tell my clients, and I'm sure you can agree, that it's never too early to start preconception care. Like if you want to be a mom next week, next year, in 5 or 10 years, then go ahead and start optimizing your body. And you're going to have better results if your body's optimized for overall health, but also for fertility, hormones, all of it. It's all connected.
It's so true. I can totally attest to that too. My clients that come to work with me, 6 months to a year out, even just on their hormones, like maybe preconception care is like a goal a year down the line. They're the ones that have the smoothest pregnancies. They get pregnant the fastest, and they just have like really just an uncomplicated pregnancy and an uncomplicated delivery. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And the same goes too, if you're going through any type of ART treatments, if you're getting ready to do an IVF cycle, an IUI, maybe this is your first, maybe you've been doing this for years, hopefully not years, but you know what I mean? But the same holds true. You've got to optimize your body to make sure that you're the healthiest you can be, so those cycles actually work. So it ties into that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so much that can be done to support egg quality too, if you are going through fertility treatments and things like that, to just make things smoother.
For sure, for sure. And so when, we can start whenever, the sooner the better, but is there like okay, this is when you should actually start, and how long does it normally take? And is that, it could depend on the person. So that could be a loaded question, but you see a typical time frame for this working?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's complicated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really depends at the end of the day. Wow, that was difficult for me to say. About your history. So, typically the general recommendation is at least 3 months, and that's because it takes about 3 months for an antral follicle, so a follicle, to mature, about 100 days. And so everything that we do leading up to this maturity of the egg can affect the quality of the egg, and also the quality of the corpus luteum, which is going to produce progesterone, which can support the implantation of that fertilized egg. And also it's going to support our progesterone production during the first trimester as well. So really, this time period is really critical and really important. And that's why you see the recommendation of at least 3 months. So, that really depends on your situation though, overall. So there are many experts, for example, that say if you're coming off hormonal contraceptives, that you might want to take 18 to 24 months for repletion and cycle normalization, because you can actually experience 12 to 18 months of subfertility after coming off the birth control pill. And so another really interesting thing is that it takes about a year for a primordial follicle to grow. And so this is really, it could be 3 months if you want to think of like the sort of later phase of the egg, but really it kind of starts a year out. And so that said, you don't have to necessarily take a year or longer. It really depends on your situation, but I always like to help women sort of look at their history, look at their current, especially if they've been trying to conceive, maybe, and not having that much success, maybe it's time to take a step back. And knowing this information, it can take the pressure off, because our body does need time to sort of build these nutrient stores, optimize our fertility, and like let the magic happen. And so it also takes time to make nutrition and lifestyle shifts. So if there's any particular nutrition approach that you wanted to implement going into pregnancy, and to optimize your fertility, to optimize and have a really nutrient dense pregnancy that's going to support a healthy baby, it's never too early to start, like you said, and it does take time to make conscious shifts. And so hopefully that gives you, I know that's a broad, really unspecific answer, but again, it really depends on you and your situation, and I hope that gives you the freedom and flexibility to decide what's best for you.
For sure, for sure. And I always explain to clients, and on this show, we talk a lot about like, this is a lifestyle. This isn't like a quick fix. You're going to come in for 3 months and then you're like, maybe you're pregnant, maybe you're not, but it's not like you go back to your old ways of being and living. You're going to make a shift, and this is a lifestyle shift. So it's you're playing the long game here for your overall health, which is really important. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about minerals. I know we talk a lot about nutrition on this show, but I think people forget that we also need minerals. And sometimes mineral deficiency can be one of the issues we're experiencing for, just our health woes or even our fertility. So what are you seeing there? Let's talk minerals, and which one should we really be focusing on?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, right?
So minerals are the spark plugs of the body. So it's, hopefully this is easy to understand. It can get a little heady sometimes, but minerals run enzymes, which are the sort of catalyst for chemical reactions in the body. And these chemical reactions are what makes up our metabolism. So these enzymes send messages for other changes to take place, and enzymes run hormones, which, at the top of it run metabolism. So at the sum of all of this is the metabolism, but at the very foundation are minerals. And so if we have any symptoms at all, likely there's some kind of mineral component to it, whether it be a deficiency, imbalance, or overabundance. And so, it could be any symptom like low energy, poor blood sugar control, thyroid issues, any kind of like stones or calcification, histamine issues, insomnia, sleep issues, frequent urination, hormonal imbalances, of course, especially estrogen and progesterone. So the list is like infinitely long because minerals are always involved in hormonal processes. And, I should say that they do work in conjunction with vitamins, and especially fat soluble vitamins too. So, it's really common to look at a mineral deficiency and say, hey, I need more of this one nutrient, but it's not always that way. That's not always the answer, because it could be that we need more of its partners or cofactors to allow it to operate optimally. A great example of this is iron. So, it's really common to hear like, oh, I have anemia, especially in the third trimester. But what a lot of people don't know is that iron's partner is copper, and copper's really important partner is vitamin A, retinol. And so if we don't have those two nutrients, the mineral copper and the fat soluble vitamin A, we might have low, quote unquote, low iron. And oftentimes I've seen this time and time and again, increasing those nutrients in the diet really helps get iron levels up. That's just one example. And so you asked about fertility and, which ones we should focus on. And I would say probably all of them. Because they're so important to all the metabolic processes in the body. And really, fertility is not detached from overall health and metabolic health either. It's holistically, it's all connected. And so we have to not compartmentalize fertility into like this like really unique thing, because it's inherently part of our health. And so that's why our cycle is called the fifth vital sign. And so it gives us so much information. But I can give you a few examples on how, minerals are involved in fertility.
Sure.
So, awesome. So copper is required to create energy, and we have about 300,000 mitochondria in each mature egg cell. And so this is important when we're thinking about egg quality, because I think like skin has maybe less than 1,000, somewhere about around that. And maybe the heart, I could be getting this wrong, has about 1,000. So like all these organs have, a lot less mitochondria. Mitochondria is where energy is made. And so cells need energy to maintain themselves and to, function. Otherwise they die. And so when it comes to egg health, this is really important, a really important concept to understand, because our eggs need to be able to create energy to maintain themselves. And so, we start out with millions of eggs when we're born, and then all of a sudden by like 30, we're like, where did all of them go? Because we certainly didn't ovulate them all out. And so this is kind of what's happening. We are not able to maintain the energy production versus the oxidative stress that we are experiencing. And so, especially if, the oxidative stress takes over or is really, leading the charge, we can experience, cell death. In this case, it could be egg cell death. And so it's really important for copper as well as magnesium to create energy for the cells. And so that's just one example. During pregnancy, copper is really important to key enzymes that allow you to transfer iron to baby. So whenever iron's involved, copper is usually there supporting it, because iron is very volatile and it can oxidize. And so copper keeps it from basically causing oxidative stress in the body. Zyklopin is the one that supports the transfer from mother to baby. We have hephaestin, which supports the absorption of iron from the small intestine. We also have ceruloplasmin, which regulates serotonin, which, if serotonin gets too high, it can cause spontaneous abortion. And so lysyl oxidase, which supports the growth of tissue and collagen, which is going to be really important, not only for creating baby, but also stretching of the skin and the growth of the placenta. So copper is really involved in so many different enzymes. Another example is zinc. So we need zinc for folate to operate properly, and it can also help prevent neural tube defects. So can selenium. Magnesium is also found in super high amounts in amniotic fluid. So this is something that babies really love and is really important for baby. And salt is really supportive of progesterone production. And that's what you need to support the implantation of the egg and carry through the pregnancy. And so these are just a few examples, but as you can see, minerals are really important.
Right. Oh, I love that. And so how would we know if we were deficient? Is there testing we should do, or is there just by the symptoms we experience, we can think that might be a mineral deficiency?
Yeah, usually if we have any symptom, we have some kind of mineral imbalance, but to really get down to exactly what, mineral imbalance is, because again, if we're looking to supplement, we could probably, potentially create more imbalance if we're supplementing the wrong thing isolated, which is why I love whole food sources of nutrients, because nature likes to gift wrap things for us in, the right ratios with the right partners. So that said, though, you can get a hair tissue mineral analysis, and this will tell you a lot about not only your mineral status, but your metabolic status and a lot of the functions of the body. So blood sugar, thyroid, adrenal, stress, hormones. And so definitely love hair tissue mineral analysis, and I use it in my practice a lot.
Yes, for sure. We're big fans of testing instead of guessing around here. So getting some sort of testing is super important for sure. Amazing. So we are going to take a short break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk practical tips. So we'll be right back. Hey y'all, it's Coach Kayla here. I hope you are loving this episode as much as I am. We will be back in just a minute, but first, a word from our sponsors. Hey ladies, I am so excited to invite you to our upcoming summit, the Solving Infertility Summit. Learn from over 50 amazing women's health experts, life-changing solutions to help you solve your infertility puzzles and optimize your natural fertility so you can finally get pregnant, stay pregnant, have a healthy super baby, and an easy postpartum. Don't delay, register today. We go live January 17th. Also check out our VIP package for more access and amazing gifts. I cannot wait to see all of you there. Hey Lauren, welcome back.
Thanks so much, Kayla.
So let's talk practical tips. What are maybe your top 5 things that we can start to do today to start to, do some of this preconception care that you alluded to earlier and, make sure that we are getting that balanced nutrition so all of our minerals are, on point?
Oh my goodness, do I have tips? Okay, so my first one is really simple. Eat the food. And so we need calories as women, and we need to be eating enough calories. Our pituitary gland, which is really what orchestrates our reproductive hormone production, is super sensitive to caloric restriction. And so if we aren't getting enough calories, our pituitary gland is going to say, okay, I don't have enough resources to, send out and create all these hormones. So let's focus on surviving for a little while until we do get more calories. And so just getting enough calories consistently, because we also have to focus on consistency, which is probably another tip. We need to make the body feel safe. And to do that, it needs to experience consistency. If we're, eating 500 calories one day, 2,000 calories the next day, 1,000 calories the third day, the body's gonna be like, what is going on? So,
right.
So the cornerstone of, fertility and conception is the body needs to feel safe. And so we can make it feel safe by eating enough calories and eating them consistently. And so to tack onto that too, I would say the next tip is balance your blood sugar. So it's not just about calories either. We also have this really interesting relationship with blood sugar and stress in our bodies. And so when our blood sugar gets too low, our body will release stress hormones to raise it. That's what our stress hormones are, they do a lot of other things, but they also raise our blood sugar. And so low blood sugar can raise our stress hormones. And if we are, chronically high stress hormones, or if we're chronically pumping them out day in and day out, our body will also feel like it's in survival mode. It's going to divert blood to the primary organs, not really the external ones. It's going to increase your heart rate. It's going to, kind of take a back seat for digestion. And so we can start feeling all these symptoms like constipation and, elevated blood pressure. And that's because the body thinks it's running from a bear. And so we need to be able to balance our blood sugar in order to make sure that our body feels like it doesn't have to run from a bear, so that it can feel safe enough to reproduce as well. And so make sure you're having protein and carbs together. Protein tends to lower blood sugar. Carbs tend to raise blood sugar, and together they are a match made in heaven. And both of them also, stimulate an insulin response. So if we have protein alone, we're going to drop our blood sugar because it's stimulating an insulin response. And so we need to balance that blood sugar as much as we can to minimize the stress on the body and to minimize the mini emergencies that we might be creating for our body. I would also say remineralization is really important, extra minerals. This is really to not only support progesterone production, fertility, but also in pregnancy. This is going to be really important. Our blood volume increases by 50%, and it cannot do that without proper hydration. And that's what minerals help us do as well. Electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, sodium. And so this is really important to support blood pressure during pregnancy, again, baby's development, because minerals are also going to be what creates their bones and teeth. And so that's super important as well. And, farmers have been able to eradicate birth defects by just providing their animals salt licks. Minerals are so important. I would also say don't skimp on fat soluble vitamins. So a lot of people, our diet today in America it has fats, but not really nourishing fats. We use a lot of industrialized oils, and fat's not bad, but these oils aren't really helping us, and they could be depleting us of other really important nutrients, like, for example, vitamin E, which is also called the fertility nutrient, the fertility vitamin. And so we really need to be making sure we're getting enough fat-soluble vitamins. They're also going to work in conjunction with minerals to help form the baby's facial structure and bone structure, and to help symmetry in the body grow properly. And so we want to get vitamins A, E, K, and D, in ample qualities, and these are going to be found primarily in animal foods, and usually grass-fed as well will have more E. So I will say, those are probably the 5 tips I would give you, and if I can give you one more, is to find the right dose of stress for yourself. So there's good stress and bad stress, and the body can have trouble differentiating, if we're constantly stressed. Right. And so find the right dose of exercise for you, figure out other ways to reduce stress in relationships, your environment, your chemical exposure, etc., because that can also be a big player as well.
Gotcha. Oh, thank you for all those tips. Those were amazing. So thank you.
Of course.
And so would this be similar to what our partners need to be focused on too? Is their nutrition just as essential, and, all the pieces you just mentioned for us women, it's the same for the partners?
Oh, yeah. Yes. So, yes. They should be prepping there right with you. It takes 2 to tango. The quality of the egg and the sperm both matter. And if we're trying to reduce chromosomal abnormalities, they will absolutely need adequate nutrition and stress reduction. So men tend to be more resilient to stress naturally, but they also tend to be desensitized from it more. So they could be super stressed, but not even realize it. Making sure that they're getting adequate nutrition, not necessarily fasting for prolonged periods of time either from a nutrition standpoint, because this can reduce testosterone production, which then, you need to create healthy sperm. So over time, it can take a toll. So making sure we're also nourishing them, or they are nourishing themselves. But it's kind of fun if you can prepare together, because it's both equally motivating. And, it is a huge part of conception, healthy conception.
Amazing. Well, I could talk about this all day long with you, Loren, but we do have to wrap up. So tell everybody where we can find you. Where can we learn more about working with you?
Oh, thanks for asking, Kayla. People can find me on Instagram. So my handle is Innate Functional Nutrition, and you can work with me through my eCourse. It's called Conscious Conception. I created it with my dear friend, Dr. Britt Harmon, a pelvic floor health specialist. It's an essentially the ultimate guide to preparing for conception. And I also work with one-on-one clients as well. So you can find me there. And my website's also innate-nutrition.com.
I love that. And that'll be all in the show notes. So it's really easy to find. So, well, as we close, I would love to hear just maybe a piece of advice, a word of wisdom, something you want to leave us with for inspiration and to go out and tackle this infertility journey.
Oh, absolutely. So it can be easy to just make sure to take time to rest. It can be really easy to get caught up in the next thing that you have to do and the next deadline you have to meet, especially if you're on a conception journey. Sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves with timelines and things like that, especially, if we are older as well. So we can miss so much if we're tunnel visioning like that. And so remember to allow yourself to look up and relax and look at what's around you and enjoy the beauty of what you have today, because today is still beautiful, even though you have goals for tomorrow. And it's really important to be present, and it can make the journey so much better that way.
For sure. Beautiful, beautifully said. Well, thank you so much for being here, Loren. I really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you.
Likewise, Kayla. Take care.
And thank you, ladies, for listening to the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. Until next time. Bye. Wait, before you go, don't forget about our VIP package. Want access to all the speaker interviews after this week? Watch at your leisure and in your own time from the comfort of your own home. Also, come back and reference any episode at any time as your needs change and as you move through your journey. For one low price, you get all the summit recordings, unlimited access, our swag bag filled with so many different freebies from all of our experts and sponsors, as well as discounts on all of our services, plus a copy of my book, The Hormone Puzzle Method, Solving Infertility. All this and more for one low price to help you finally solve your infertility puzzle so you can get pregnant and stay pregnant. But don't delay, because this deal won't last long. Once the summit starts, it's gone forever. So to take advantage of this deal and lock in your savings, visit www.solving-infertility.com/purchase. Hey, hang on just 1 second before you go. I want to make sure that you are aware of all of the amazing free resources that I have for you on my website at CoachKayla.com. From a fertility meal plan, a cycle syncing quick start guide, a holistic healing cookbook, as well as master classes, blog posts by me and some amazing experts in the fields of fertility, hormones, and nutrition. So many wonderful resources that will help you on your journey. And I wish there had been something like this when I was going through my 2 years of infertility, but there just wasn't. And so that's why I decided to create all of this for you. So make sure that you go and check it out and you take advantage of this plethora of support that I have provided for you. And spoiler alert, these were some of the same tricks and the same foods that I used to get myself pregnant, not once, but twice, even after my doctors said that I couldn't. So I know that these things work. So make sure you take advantage of that. And I cannot wait for you to be my next success story. So thanks, love. See you soon. Thanks for tuning in today to the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. Check out the show notes for today's episode at CoachKayla.com. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week.